I am so tired of coming on this podcast every single week and telling you to stop playing T.Y. Hilton. Like, just stop it.
Mikey needs help.
Mikey needs help.
I was like, if you don't have Jeff Wilson in here, and if you don't run it on first down, I'm strangle you through that TV.
You should know better than everyone else. That fool tears you up when you plays you.
Yeah, but he
Don't you want him on your team?
I have him at number 25.
Thank you. Fine. Todd's the reasonable one on this show.
I take issue with everything he said there.
Well,
I really do.
DeAndre Swift. He's going to break them tackles, son.
That's bold. That's bold. That's putting your nuts on the table right there.
Hey, there's the first time for everything.
Waxing poetic over here with Todd Diamond.
Dude's old.
So what? He's not as old as Brady, and you're jerking him off before the show starts.
I have Sutton in my top 10. I have him at number 9.
Yes.
You know what? I'm just canceling the league. I can't do this with you guys. Oh, man, how fun was it to finally have football back, and what a thrilling week one we had. Welcome to the MHA podcast. Eric Lansing, Todd Diamond, Mikey Renault. How fun was it this week? I didn't get to see as many games as you guys, but the games I did get to see, fun. Football's back. It's great, isn't it?
Absolutely. Football, and more football. It's fantastic.
I was waiting for it. Fantastic.
Well done. Well, let's get into this. Let's just get into this week one. We'll start off with some news, of course.
Well, this reporter was possibly a little hasty earlier. Would like to reaffirm his allegiance to this country and its human president. May not be perfect, but it's still the best government we have. For now.
And some few names we need to throw around. Dak Prescott, he fractured his hand. They didn't put him on the injury reserve, but who knows what that means? It could be 4 to 8 weeks. So interesting on how the Cowboys and their fantasy outcomes could happen with Dak on the bench. So far, not so good. And that next piece of news about Elijah Mitchell, he did go on the injured reserve. Going to be out 8 weeks, sprained MCL. That's definitely going to affect Mikey a little bit. And we'll come back to these. I'm just going to get through all the news, and we can talk about what we want to talk about. Hurting Mr. Diamond over there, Najee Harris, dealing with a foot injury, although the latest I saw says he says he's going to play against the Patriots, so maybe not as serious, or he's full of himself, but we'll see. Keenan Allen, another one of Todd's guys, hamstring. God, those things are such a pain in the butt. You just don't know. You feel good one day, takes just one stupid play to re-injure it, and you're not playing again. So he's definitely not going to play this week. They have that quick turnaround as they take on the Chiefs on Thursday night, but doesn't sound like it's super serious, so we'll keep an eye on that. T. Higgins dealing with a concussion, left that game early. Tyler Boyd came in and scored a touchdown. And Chris Godwin, who's been dealing, still coming off that torn ACL, came in, looked all right, then tweaked a hamstring, could miss a few more weeks. So really a lot of stuff that's affecting us. Did I miss anything? I tried looking through all the injuries, but those seem to be the major fantasy implications. Mikey, what are your thoughts about Elijah Mitchell? And man, if that guy's good when he's healthy, but he just can't stay healthy.
I feel like Groundhog Day because, I had Raheem Mostert last year and it was played a half, got injured, went on IR. Same kind of situation, but I feel okay. I feel like I have a lot more depth this year than I did last year, so I'm not like panicking whatsoever.
Todd, are you panicking with your boy, the 3rd overall pick, Najee Harris, dealing with an injury?
No, because the fact that it wasn't serious, and they said there was reports, when he left the game that he was walking around the locker room and everything like that. So that's always a good sign when you hear that type of information. That he's able to walk around and stuff like that. Now, granted, it's different from walking around in the locker room than running on the field, but I'm not really worried about it. If it was more serious, something would have really come out on Monday or something even today. And he says he's ready to go, and I think Mike Tomlin's gonna let him go. So I'm not too worried about that. More about the Keenan Allen thing. I'm a little bit more worried about because again, he sent me that screenshot of that tweet. I'm like, oh my god, here we go again, and it was a non-contact injury. I was like, come on, these non-contact injuries, and geez. No, but with Harris, I'm not really worried, and he says he's ready to go. He's ready to go. So I'm gonna play him. I'm gonna play him Sunday, and hopefully he can have a bounce back game and be the Najee Harris from last year.
Mikey, how concerned should any owner out there with a Dallas Cowboy be now that Dak's going to miss quite a bit? And who's it going to be? Cooper Rush? Is that the backup quarterback that's going to play here in the next 8 weeks or so?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, boy, CeeDee Lamb, folks.
Yeah, I mean, you saw what was going on. If you watched that Sunday night game, he was being double teamed on every single play. Like, they don't respect any of the other receiving options on Dallas, which actually helped Dalton Schultz a little bit. Yeah, I mean, Zeke Elliott, it's concerning there because they're going to be down a whole lot from what I figure with Dak not in there. So that's not good for him. And yeah, CeeDee Lamb.
3 points this past week.
Yeah,
and Dak played a majority of the game, by the way, and he still only had 3 points. So things aren't looking good in Dallasville.
Nope, team's a mess.
Yeesh. So yeah, those are the nudes. Did I miss anything, Mikey? Are those the main guys?
Yeah, I think those are the main guys as far as injuries are concerned.
Okay, if I miss anything, just let me know. So let's get into some MHA trivia.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
All right, guys, pretty simple this week. We're going to go back and forth. I can tell you, I'll ask you the question. We go back and forth. Whoever gets to 5 is the winner. So here we go. Your question for this week. 10 players scored 2 touchdowns this past week. So all you have to do is name me a player that scored 2 touchdowns, give you a point. Whoever gets to 5 first wins. Always start with Todd because he always seems to lose every week. So we'll let Todd go first. Todd, give me a NFL player, and this is not quarterbacks, by the way.
Okay, that was gonna be my question.
Sorry, these are non-quarterbacks.
Okay.
That scored 10 points, or excuse me, that scored 2 touchdowns.
Okay. I'll go with Jamal Williams.
Jamal Williams, ladies and gentlemen, that is correct. Well done. Todd picks up a point. Picking Jamal Williams, who's vultured a couple touchdowns from DeAndre Swift. It just seemed like, from what I gathered, DeAndre Swift ran long plays to get inside the 5, and Jamal Williams just popped it in from there. Well done. Mikey, to you.
Oh, he took probably what may have been the hardest one, I would figure.
No, not in my opinion, but I'll go ahead.
But I'll go with the easier one. I'll go with Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. That is correct. My boy's good. Told y'all he might be the number 1 guy, number 1 wide receiver this year. So we're even. 1-1 the score. Back to you, TD.
Oh, I'll say Stephon Diggs.
Not a good start. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He did not have 2 touchdowns. He had 1, but not 2. Mikey, there's a name in my head, and I want you to pick it, and I know why. You know why I want you to pick it. So just say the name so we can let Todd have it.
Well, no, I want to pick the guy that was on my own team.
Okay, fine. All right. Pick that guy then.
I'm going to go Travis Kelce.
I don't have Travis Kelce. I don't think he scored 2 touchdowns. Am I wrong on that? Looking up the stats.
Maybe he didn't. Maybe he only got the 1.
No, he only had 1. Sorry, Miguel. Great day, but only had 1 touchdown. All right, still 1-1. Todd, back to you.
All right, I'll go with a player I had on my bench, but
there you go.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
That's who I wanted Mikey to pick, so we could let Todd have it. Guy on his bench scored 2 touchdowns. A guy we told him we should have played over. Julio Jones. But Todd won, so no big deal. But Todd's winning right now in MHA trivia 2-1. Back to you, Miguel.
Okay, I'll go with a guy I touted. I'll go with Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas is correct. How about Michael Thomas? Where'd that come from? Going out there with 2 touchdowns after, I don't think he scored a touchdown in like 2 or 3 seasons. I don't know the exact number off of my head, top of my head, but it's been a while. Michael Thomas, well done. 2-2 your score. What's that, Miguel?
I'm not surprised.
Oh, stop it. Todd, to you. A guy with 2 touchdowns in week 1. I feel like it's getting harder now.
I think it is.
But there's some names out there you should know. A couple you probably don't.
I'll say Michael Pittman Jr.
Oh, I'm sorry. He did not have 2, just the 1. Back to you, Miguel. 2-2 the score.
I'm going to go with Saquon Barkley because I know he had I don't know that he had to, but I know he had over 30 points. So I figure that's a pretty good guess.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's an incorrect guess. Yes, he had 31 points, the most for a running back this week. Excuse me. But did not have 2 touchdowns. Back to you, Todd.
Oh, I'll go with DJ Chark.
No, DJ Chark did not have 2 touchdowns. Back to you, Miguel.
I don't know
Guy
why I
that
didn't
scored
think
2 touchdowns in week
of it
1.
before, but yeah, another guy that was on my team was James Robinson.
There you go. There you go. James Robinson. A lot of people were speculating what kind of explosiveness, perhaps, what kind of value, or what kind of, well, the expectations were low, if any. With Travis Etienne there and Robinson coming off the Achilles, right? From what I saw, he looked pretty good. So, well done, Miguel. All right, Todd, you got to tie it up here. It's 3-2 in favor of Miguel, a guy that scored 2 touchdowns.
Oh, go with
One of these guys were on someone's bench this past week.
Jay Dotson.
Jahan Dotson.
John Dotson.
From the Washington Commanders. Almost said Redskins. The Washington Commanders is correct. Well done. Tied 3-3. Mikey, your turn.
Oh. Man, my mind's drawing a blank right now. How many more do we have?
Well, you guys gotten 6 of the 10.
Jeez, man, there was 4 more guys?
4 more guys.
Wow. Let's see. I'm trying to think here.
I'm trying to think of one of these guys was on someone's bench. I guess a couple guys were on the bench. One guy I think was
Oh, okay. I know who. Kareem Hunt.
There you go. Nice job. Kareem Hunt. 2 touchdowns. It's despite the Cleveland passing woes, the rushing was on point. Chubb, I think, had like 14, 15, 16 points. And then Kareem Hunt, 2 touchdowns. One of those was a receiving touchdown as well. All right, Todd, got to tie it up here. Have any clues or any idea who? There's a tight end in this mix.
Really?
I was surprised when I saw it too. I had to work up most of the day, so I didn't get to see a lot of this stuff, but according to statistics.
Is it Mark Andrews?
Are you kidding me? No way. If I would have gotten 2 touchdowns, he didn't have 1. If I would have had 2 from Mark Andrews, I would have won easily this week. All right, Mikey.
He was so emphatic. No.
I think if it was Mr. Andrews, I'd have been thrilled. I wish it was Andrews. Definitely was not. I think we're gonna have to just give this one to you, Miguel. I'll give you one more guess to get to 5, but I think we're gonna end it after this because we're going long.
I'm trying to think if we else had a big day. The only name I can think of is AJ Brown.
Who's that?
AJ Brown.
Oh no, he didn't have any touchdowns.
Oh, wow.
All right, so you guys got What do we got here? 7 out of the 10. So that's pretty impressive. Mikey wins MHA trivia again. The other names, OJ Howard. Can you believe that? OJ Howard had 2 touchdowns. What the heck?
Yeah,
That sounds like a Todd tight end pickup if I ever heard one.
Well, 2 of them, yeah, he's picking them up.
No,
How about-
I'm okay right now?
You're okay right now?
I'm okay with Hawkins.
All right, how about Dontrell Hilliard, running back for Tennessee? Was able to put up a couple touchdowns, vulturing Mr. Derrick Henry, who had less than 10 points. And Devin Duvernay, Baltimore wide receiver, couple touchdowns. Lamar Jackson's pretty good, huh, Miguel? Yeah, he's
I
pretty
played
good.
against him. He had see, but this is the problem with Lamar Jackson. He had 3 touchdown passes, which is great. 40 points.
Yeah, not a lot of completions. I didn't see what his rushing total was either.
Yeah, I don't think it was that much.
But so that didn't work in his favor, as I'm just trying to look up the stats here, because he ended up with 42 points, just 17 rush yards, and that's where he makes a lot of his money. He still had 3 passing touchdowns, but only 17 completions.
Yeah.
So there you have it. That's MHA trivia. Well done, Miguel. I applaud you. You're a smart dude sometimes. Let's go through this, and I always go through this really quickly. But the week 1 recap, so you guys can take a drink and just listen to me talk for a little bit. Let's start things off with the rematch of the 2021 MHA Championship. Notorious CUP taking on the NWA, while the 2020 champs in NWA, who got 55 points from Justin Herbert and 17 from Miles Sanders, who just scored his first touchdown in a couple of years. It was CUP who got some impressive performances from DeAndre Swift, 24, 22 points from Jamar Chase. How about 17 from A.J. Brown and 17 from A.J. Dillon? Pretty nice across the board there. CUP starts the season off 1-0 after scoring a week high 154 points. In the second matchup we'll talk about, we talked about the 2021 champs, the 2020 champs. How about the 2019 champs? Lion Rip. He scored 144 points, second most in week 1, securing his first win on the season, taking down the Belt Sanders. Belt Sanders got a pretty good performance for his first overall pick in Josh Allen. He tallied 62 points, but didn't get too much outside of that. Brandon Ayuk, Ezekiel Elliott, Damian Harris, not big days from them. Lion Rip, however, got some precious garbage time from Joe Burrow, who racked up 54 points despite 4 picks and a fumble. And his first 2 picks in the draft were great for Lion Rip and Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs. They combined for 43 points. Adams also got some garbage time and a garbage touchdown really in that game. So garbage time working out for Mr. Lion Rip in week 1. In the next matchup, scoring the 3rd most points in the weekend, Mr. Hot Tamales, who piled up 138 points to defeat Eaton W's by 21 points. Patrick Mahomes, looks so good. Looks like he's an early candidate for that MVP award, leading all quarterbacks with 74 points. That was more than the Tom Brady, Dak Prescott combined in that game. 30 completions from Mr. Mahomes, 5 touchdowns. And, of course, Mikey, the stack with Travis Kelce, got 20 from the tight end. Eaton W saw Lamar Jackson score 42 points. Michael Pittman Jr. looking good with 21 points. I told you, Miguel. And even Javonte Williams, who was the most targeted running back of the weekend, grabbing 11 receptions, but just not enough for Kevin and his squad. Lemonheads versus Bishop Sycamore. This was a close matchup that came down to the Sunday night game and the Monday night game. Dak Prescott versus Tom Brady. I looked up the number because we were talking about it, Miguel, that these two teams played against each other in week 1 of last season. That combined score between the two quarterbacks' points were 142. But this year, 48 total points. 30 for Brady, 18 for Prescott. Still a close matchup as the Broncos and Seahawks went at it on Monday night. Rashad Penny put up 60 yards and a couple of receptions for 8 points. Sutton with 7. Although Sutton just needed a couple of receptions to earn Sycamore the victory. The Broncos decided to waste 30 seconds at the end of the game, tried for a field goal instead of the first down, where Sutton may have been able to pick up a couple more points, saving the Lemonheads and giving them the week 1 victory. How about that team Eric thought let's try that again. How about the team that Eric thought won the draft in Kilgore Trout? Whoops, I guess that was the jinx of the season. He went toe-to-toe with Butterfingers. This was another close one that came down to the final game of the week. Kilgore and his starting running backs of Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette were great. Got 28 total points. Got a solid day from Kyler Murray at 45. The Butterfingers struggling with Keenan Allen and Najee Harris going down to injury. And so Todd found his team down 116-55 with Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy on Monday night. Jeudy got that first half touchdown on his way to 15 points, while Wilson completed 29 passes, turned 48 points, and Todd coming all the way back to win by a mere 2 points. Nice job, Todd. And finally, Cooper's Cousins taking on the Gonzo Cats to wrap up week 1. Another low-scoring game. This one would also be determined by the final game in the Broncos-Seahawks. Looking back in the days before, 2022 Cooper Kupp looking like 2021 Cooper Kupp. 25 points for Cooper's Cousins. And how about 2022 Saquon Barkley looking like 2019 Saquon Barkley, who skyrocketed to 31 points, as we mentioned, leading all running backs, including Jonathan Taylor. But Aaron Rodgers could only muster up 25 points. The Gonzo Cats got solid performances across the board, minus the big goose egg from Cam Akers. Only had 3 total carries in that one in the opening game of the season. And 2 points from Mike Williams, which is quite perplexing considering Keenan Allen went out of the lineup early in that one, and he only managed 2 points. So despite all that, it was 108-102 in favor of Dylan's squad, with Dylan bringing the Broncos defense to the table. Pollen's squad, Brandon McManus. It was 115-113 on the very last play of the game. If McManus could hit that NFL-tying 64-yard field goal, Gonzo Cats would start 1-0, while Cooper's Cousins would drop 0-1, but kick doesn't go through. Instead, it's the other way around. So there's the week matchups. Mikey, you want to quickly talk about your 1-0 start?
Yeah, I mean, I was getting a little nervous, to be honest, at the start of those morning games, just because, you know, a lot of my guys in the morning weren't really doing anything. But man, it felt so nice watching that Mahomes and Kelsey connection and how easy it was. And I knew by halftime, I'm like, oh man, Kevin's in deep, deep trouble. Arizona was doing nothing to stop either one of them. And it's just like when you get a watcher score and you're just watching it just constantly tick, 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 tick. It's an incredible feeling.
Yeah, we were talking about it, and it's just one of those games. And I was thinking about it. I had that game a couple years ago, and I had Josh Allen, and he would end up putting close to 80 points. Everything you imagine could happen, constantly throwing, constantly picking up receptions, constantly getting in the end zone, no rushing, running backs taken away, quarterback. It just, everything works perfectly. And it's an amazing feeling. It doesn't happen all the time, but it's like you think about it and it happens. So good job there, Miguel. Todd, boy, you were excited about your Jerry Jeudy touchdown, and you ended up winning by 2. So you came all the way back and won. You were kind of in that dough of the week with Clyde Edwards-Helaire on the bench, but you avoided that tragedy.
Oh yes, I mean, obviously with Najee and Keenan Allen going out, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be I mean, I was at work. I was like, oh, this is gonna be a long day, and But then I thought, okay, well, maybe Aaron Jones helped save the day a little bit, and obviously, I mean, Green Bay in general didn't save anything for me. So for me, only 8 points from Aaron Jones. I was like, oh, well, I'm gonna be the dough of the week. And then Mikey, texts me and goes, Edwards-Helaire has 2 touchdowns, right? I'm like, what? And I look at my phone. I'm like, oh my god, this is great. It's the dough of the week, and the games aren't even over yet. It's great. It's fantastic. And then going into at least the Sunday night game, I was like, well, not knowing what's happening with Godwin, Julio in there. And like I said, I was very high on Julio going into the, in the off season a little bit, because he was, putting him with Tom Brady, like, this is going to be great, and obviously ended up with 7 points. But, at the end of the day, came down to Russell Wilson and Jerry Jeudy. And, obviously really high on Jerry Jeudy and, finally having a quarterback that can get him the football. Now, obviously, that first half a little bit was like, obviously, I had Russell Wilson. He was getting the completions, but he was completing them to the tight ends. But okay, just kind of just warming up a little bit, and obviously, Jeudy got that amazing touchdown where he kind of came back and caught it and just ran down the field, ran the rest of the way for a touchdown. So yes, I was definitely, I was sweating going into that game as well. But Russell Wilson, you put good weapons around him, he delivers. So glad I got the win. And good comeback. These kind of wins, you kind of remember these wins and what you need to do to to win a championship. But yeah, it's only week 1. There's still a lot of stuff that need to I need to tweak some things, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully I get Harris back this week and he plays. Keenan Allen doesn't play, I can maneuver some stuff around. So other than that, I feel good. It felt good to get that win, whether it's a point or 2 points. A win's a win, and I felt good. I mean, it would be nice too if the Broncos would have got the win too, but you got to take what you can get.
Well, I was going to talk about my team, but Todd talked like 10 minutes. So
Cool.
The only thing I'll say about I shouldn't have won that game. If Dak would have finished the game, if with Sutton, you probably should have got a couple more catches. I just felt like I shouldn't have won. But for all the times that happened to me where I should have won, I'll take my 1-0 win this week. Looking at the dough of the week, I don't know if you guys looked at the candidates at all. Here's what I saw, and if you guys saw something different, let me know. Gonzo Cats lost by 2, so anytime you lose by a few points, there's all kinds of things, but you got to be more realistic too in terms of, well, what do you really have started? You talk about, Carson Wentz at 62 points. Would you start him over Jalen Hurts? Probably not. But he also had Breece Hall, who had 7 points. Cam Akers 0. Depending on how you see things, I mean, Cam Akers was probably the better start. But that's kind of where we stand with one of those candidates, Bishop Sycamore. You could say 49 points from Matt Ryan to Dak's 18, but you're probably not starting Matt Ryan. Mikey's definitely not starting Matt Ryan over Dak Prescott. The other one, Kilgore Trout, 16 from Jahan Dotson on the bench. Of course, CeeDee Lamb, just 3 points. Allen Robinson, just 1 point. Those are my dough of the week candidates. I miss anybody?
I don't think so. All of those are tough though, because
I know. There's no clear cut, right?
Yeah.
The only one that stands out above the rest is just because Breece Hall had so much hype going for him coming in. So that's probably the best of the worst options. But I mean, because there's no way someone's starting Matt Ryan over Dak, a rookie wide receiver from the Commanders. You're not starting him over CeeDee Lamb or Allen Robinson. So my pick would be Gonzo Cats.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
All right. You're good with that, Todd?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, Gonzo Cats. You earned the dough of the week. It was a tough week this week. Todd was going to be in line because I saw Todd after Thursday night and was like, don't you dare put Julio in over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Maybe, Mikey, should we just give it to Todd anyway? We told him. And he didn't listen to us, and it almost cost him.
Yeah, I mean, his need to be right almost cost him a win in week 1.
What do you think, Todd? Should we just give it to you anyway?
I mean, it would be the first dough. It'd be the first dough of the week for a winning team. I mean,
yeah, probably shouldn't set that precedent.
Yeah, I was gonna say that would. I mean, there's some precedents that we'd set sometimes, but this one, hey, like you say, Eric, all the time. When I believe in my guys, it's hard to change my mind. So I either have to learn the hard way, or I can say, in your face.
All I gotta say is you better thank Jerry Jeudy right now.
Oh, I get it.
Thank you.
Okay, Jerry Jeudy, thank you.
Thank you. All right,
Jerry Jeudy, thank you very much. I'm gonna buy your jersey. It's gonna be great. Okay.
All right. Yeah, you go buy that jersey. All right, guys, let's go with the stars of the week. We kind of do a stars of the week, busts of the week and surprises of the week. Mikey, who stood out to you in week 1? It could be anybody from anywhere.
The cream of the crop. Nobody does it better.
I tend to not go with guys from my own team, even though
I don't know, 74 points.
even though they do.
I ain't gonna be mad at you if you do it.
Yeah, even though they do deserve it. So, but I'm actually gonna go with Justin Jefferson.
Ooh, he's so good.
30 points.
He's so good.
Yeah, watching that game, he was like open all the time. Career high 184 yards. He had the 2 touchdowns, and yeah, I thought it was very interesting looking at the receiver position in general and knowing that the top guys drafted were Kupp, Jefferson, Adams, and Jamar Chase, and those were the top 4 receivers in week 1.
Didn't we have this conversation before? Didn't we have this conversation? Running backs get hurt. Things happen. Seems like wide receivers a little safer. I understand there's not a lot of them.
Well, it's funny. The next guy was Stephon Diggs, and he was 6th.
So close to getting him. That's all right. Todd, star of the week. Who stood out to you this week?
I'm gonna go with the player that you were very high with on DeAndre Swift. 24 points. I always say, well, it's Detroit. It's Detroit. You always think it's just Detroit. They're so bad, but 144 yards rushing. 1 touchdown, probably would have had more if it wasn't for Jamal Williams. But DeAndre Swift, all-purpose back. I mean, I'm starting to be a believer.
Yeah, he was tremendous. He could be the way he's rushing the ball right now,
mm-hmm.
and then for him to be able to catch the ball too.
Well,
he could be Christian McCaffrey.
And two, the fact he did this against, Philadelphia. I mean, it wasn't against like the Jets or the Jags or whatever. This was against Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is, pretty good, and they put up 35 points. So that's pretty good.
Imagine, because Jamal Williams took 2 touchdowns away from him.
Mm-hmm.
If he gotten 1 more of those, he'd be over 30 points himself.
Yeah, I would have probably. Yeah, that'd probably.
He rushed 15 times for 144 yards.
Yeah, that's
unbelievable.
And
even
had
3 catches, and that's like a low day for him. But he's pretty good. Yeah. One guy I want to throw out there because it was a guy I wasn't high on, AJ Brown. And maybe I wasn't just high on Philadelphia to begin with, but for him to put up 10 receptions, and that's the thing that's always kind of plagued AJ Brown in his career. He's been more of a touchdown guy than a yards guy than a reception guy. And for him to put up 10 with his brand new quarterback, and he didn't get a touchdown, but it didn't matter. 10 catches, 155 receptions. Swift and Brown on the same notorious CUP team. So I thought that was tremendous. Any other stars you guys want to mention, Mikey? Or should we go to the bust of the week?
Well, I thought you were going to toot your own horn with Saquon Barkley.
Yep. Saquon, who I was pretty high on coming into this season. Brian Dable, the new head coach, using him wisely. He helped him win that game. I wish we would have had him instead of 2 fumbles inside the 1 or inside the 5 for the Broncos. But how about that Saquon, huh?
Yeah. Hey, everybody was so afraid, with the injuries and, is he going to be the Saquon of old? And well, at least for week 1, he pretty much said, I'm back. So we'll see if he can do it again next week. So yeah, you were high on Saquon. Another star, again, maybe to toot my own horn, Jamar Chase. Keep doing it again. I mean, 10 receptions, 129 yards.
You can't. No.
Okay.
We're in the regular season. He's not on your team. If you would have drafted him, you can't use the excuse, well, I'm right again. That was last year. Am I right? Am I wrong on that, Miguel? Like, he can't say that anymore. He's not on his squad.
He kind of has his guys. And they're his good.
I guess DeAndre Swift's like one of my guys, right?
Sure.
Yes, Jamar Chase. We talked about T. Higgins, and that was one of the reasons why I was a little hesitant on taking. Well, I mean, Justin Jefferson was there for me at that point, but I wasn't as high as some Jamar Chase just because of T. Higgins and Joe Mixon actually did pretty well for me. He was my second round pick, but Jamar Chase did it again. I mean, they were down in that game and they had to throw, and he definitely picked it up. All right, let's go to some busts of the week. Mikey, who stood out to you? Who just stank it up in week 1?
What, do you smell something?
Do I smell something? What am I, hard of smelling? Of course I smell something.
Well, I'm going to go with a guy that I was very high on, and that was Allen Robinson. Like,
what happened? I didn't get to see that game. I was working, but 1 reception.
Yeah, and they never really like looked his way either. He looked like last year's Allen Robinson. So I'm not really sure if it was just the fact that like Cooper Kupp is like that good where he's just like open every play, and so Stafford may take some time to build that chemistry with him. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know, but that was kind of concerning and scary what I saw in that first week.
I'm trying to see who drafted him.
That was Kilgore.
Was it Kilgore? There he goes. Yep. Didn't he have? I didn't even think about this now, but he had Allen Robinson last year on his team. Is there concern, Miguel? Like, is that just week 1 woes, and they're gonna, the squeaky wheel gets the oil? Is that the saying that next week he'll put up 10 targets maybe?
Yeah. So here's my prediction for this. People kind of made a big deal out of it, after the game, and I can see why. So I almost think that this week they're going to try and make it a point,
right,
to get him involved. So I would look to, if I was Kilgore, if I'm Joe, then I would definitely play him this week. I think they're going to, definitely try and get him more involved.
Todd, bust of the week. Who was just so bad that we have to talk about it?
Let's go with Josh Jacobs. Only 6 points, especially in a game where, you'd figure, you figured a little, there's probably going to be a little bit of a shootout in that game, but Josh Jacobs just did not, I think I had Josh Jacobs ranked, I want to say in the top 20, just because again he's going to be the main guy, but he just did not show up against the Chargers. Only 6 points. That's especially in running backs. Like I said, running backs aren't a dime a dozen, and you have to you have to find those starting running backs and hope they can deliver for you. But 6 points, not what you're looking for.
Sure. I think going in, we didn't know what the situation was going to be in Las Vegas with Jacobs and him playing some preseason action and the new staff liking other folks. I'll give, I feel like, a better option. You're talking about Alvin Kamara on the same team who had 6 total points, and he was a first round pick this year? I can't remember if he was first or second, but I mean, Alvin Kamara, who came in, our only concerns with Kamara was his off the field stuff, and it sounds like that's not going to be a bother until next season. But just 9 total rush attempts, only 4 targets. I mean, I didn't get to see that game, but I feel like if you want a chance to win, you got to utilize him a little bit better. And yeah, he was the 11th overall pick this year, so not a good day for Mr. Alvin Kamara. Just 6 points, just like Jacobs. That's NWA. Still put up decent number point total this week, but not enough to win. Mikey, was there another one that stood out?
Yeah, I'm going to throw out Tom Brady. I mean, you ended up winning, but
skin of my teeth.
He could have easily cost you, and he was lucky. Yeah. He got that touchdown late that got him to 30, which for Tom Brady, that is super low.
I bet you he didn't have a 30-point game all of last season. He's just like sticking it to me, I think, is the problem.
He did. He had that game they played New Orleans where he was just god awful last year. I remember it was a Sunday night game. I'm sure Kevin had him. I'm sure Kevin remembers it too because he was terrible in that game. And hey, they play New Orleans this week, so yeah, there's that.
Oh, great. Revenge game? I don't know.
No,
it was definitely not the performance I thought. I mean, I knew Dallas was good. And even if he wasn't going to get 3 touchdowns, I thought he would rack up completions. But with Godwin out and they lost the left tackle he left early in the game. So
problems with his marriage. It's just
all this off the field stuff. Todd, do you have another bust?
I'm gonna go with. I went with. I was kind of between two of them, but I'm gonna go with Dawson Knox. Only 1 point. Now, granted,
who's that? Dawson Knox?
Yeah. I mean, especially, the fact that we got 1 point at 1 point in that game. Now, granted, Dylan won, but only 1 point in the fact that put up 31 points. I mean, at least you would think at least accidentally he'd get a touchdown, but Dawson Knox not because you're basing it off of how high powered offense that Buffalo teams is, and at least you think he'd accidentally get a touchdown. So I'll go with Dawson Knox.
I just think that like Dawson Knox is not like good enough of a player to where like that would surprise you. I mean, like he had games last year where he had a 0-point game, a 2-point game, a 1-point game. This is kind of what he does. Like he's probably like the, I don't know, 4th option in Buffalo.
Like, but I just think if Buffalo really if Buffalo's going to put up 31 points, you think you'd maybe want to spread that ball around a little bit more. But that's probably a low end bust. But I just thought just because they put 31 points, like you'd think you'd have a little bit more. But
always tough to pick I don't know. How about a guy from the same matchup in terms of Cooper's Cousins and Gonzo Cats? Oh, Mike Williams, who 2 receptions in a game where Keenan Allen left early.
Yeah,
like what's going on? I mean, they won that game, but I don't know. And even like Eckler wasn't super highly targeted in that one either. That seems a little odd to me. There's a lot of hype coming in with Mike Williams getting all that change, and interesting. I don't know if it was just something game plan wise, whatever the case may be. You guys have any surprises? Anything that stood out to you guys that was kind of odd or didn't expect or happy to see? Anything, Miguel?
Well, I bet the 8 ball didn't see that one coming. Yeah.
Well, something that's surprising me, I mentioned it to you when I noticed it on Sunday, was what the Chargers were doing with Austin Eckler. He only had 8 points, but that's not necessarily like as disappointing as that was, considering he was a 1st-round pick. Like, it was his usage. Like, he only participated in 49% of the snaps, and it's not like he's hurt, or at least if he is, they haven't said anything. And I don't know if it's just a situation where they just decided we're going to bring him on slowly because he was such a workhorse last year. I don't know what the answer to that question is.
Yeah, he said he lost 11 carries to Sony Michel and Joshua Kelly. So I don't know if they're just trying to, is it a workload thing? This team is obviously primed for a playoff run. So maybe they're trying to keep everybody healthy. You don't want to hear that as a fantasy owner, but we'll see how next week goes. Todd, any surprises?
Travis Etienne, only 6 points. And, there was a lot of hype, obviously, in the offseason, coming in the offseason that, he was going to be the guy. He's the more versatile player. I think, they were saying, this debut was, they were waiting for this debut and everything because obviously he was hurt last year, but only put up 6 points. Obviously, I know James Robinson, got the 2 touchdowns and everything, and they saying he was still maybe the primary running back, but there was just a lot of there was just so much hype in the offseason and going into the season that ETN was going to be the guy, and only put up 6 points. I mean, now I see why. Now, granted, when you draft Adams and Diggs, yes, the running back situations are going to be aren't going to be great. So you're hoping ETN can be what he was at Clemson, but only put up 6 points. That was very surprising. I was actually expecting more from him, but only put up 6 points. So I guess when Adams and Diggs are putting up total of 50 points, hey, I guess you don't need ETN to put up double digits.
I mean, you had James Robinson who had a couple touchdowns, right? I didn't see it, but I heard Mikey and Aaron kind of talk about that. He had a couple of touchdowns that he could have scored, one that he just dropped and one that was overthrown. So I don't think there's anything to be super concerned. It sounds like he's looks good out there. He's getting targets. They may be using him more as a receiving running back than maybe the number 1 3 down type of back. So there's probably still a lot of good things coming from ETN. A couple of things that surprised me. How about Cordero Patterson continuing to do it? Never thought that. I mean, for what he's over 30 years old, but 120 rush yards, had a rushing touchdown, 21 points, still kicking it. How about Michael Carter? I'll talk about all that Breece Hall stuff, and he still had 7 catches and 60 rush yards. Pretty nice. And I don't know. Did we mention Michael Thomas today?
Yes.
Yeah, we mentioned him.
Okay, we mentioned it. Right. Yeah, the 2 touchdowns.
touchdowns. Yeah.
I just have him on one of my surprises. But so, yeah, a couple other guys that surprised that those were on guys' bench, but something to keep an eye on for depth purposes. And Cordero Patterson keeps it going.
Or Kyle Pitts, only 2 points. That's
another bus guy. He was one of my other bus guys. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was that another hype guy coming into the season, but
Hunter Renfrow, just 3 receptions. Despite all that. So a lot of picks by Mr. Derek Carr in week 1. Well, gentlemen, anything else? I mean, that's really the show. We can talk about what's coming up ahead here in a few moments, but all of us here on the podcast are 1-0.
Yeah,
that's challenging, and you guys will go head to head next week. Right. So someone's going to be 2-0, and someone's going to be 1-1.
Yeah. Like I said, it's definitely going to be definitely have to have my team on their A game, because Patrick Mahomes puts up another 74 point game.
Todd's gonna be nail biting on Thursday night.
Thursday night, right?
Oh my gosh, Well, I'll be on a camera, so I'm gonna try.
Yeah, Todd said he wanted to. I was surprised. He said he wanted to work on Thursday.
It's better off that he doesn't see what's about to happen.
Well, well, hopefully, if anything, I'm gonna play Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So hopefully, maybe if anything, they hand the ball off to him at the goal line, or if at least Mahomes throws some touchdowns, they go to Helaire, and then it'll just be some wash points. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, like I said, I'm very confident in my team. I'm very confident.
We know you are.
Yeah, no, hey, you have to. I mean, that's what fantasy football is all about.
I'm not super. I mean, I want to know, but I wish I would have scored more than 115 or whatever, 122 points I ended up with.
I agree with you. Yeah, you want to. I mean, it's the name of the game. That's the obvious answer. But I think it's good to have have a little bit of that confidence. Like confidence. Like my team is like I think you have a really good team. You don't want to be like, well, I'm just take it one game at a time kind of thing. I mean, you still want to have a mindset a little bit, but you want to go like, no, my team's the shit. Let's go. You kind of want to have, because I guess if you tell yourself something enough times, you start to believe it. There you go.
Let me ask you this, Mikey, before I give you the schedule. Those guys we mentioned in the bus, Hunter Renfrow, Kamara, Robinson, anybody from the Cowboys offense, minus maybe Dalton Schultz, Mike Williams, Cam Akers. Should folks be trying to trade for those guys? Like they're down. They're at a pretty low point. Maybe you could trade and get them while they're low. What do you think? Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm not too worried about Kamara. I mean, yeah, for me, that's one bad game. I mean, he's such a good player that, yeah, I don't think there's any concerns there. Like I said, I think Allen Robinson will have a bounce back week. I think Mike Williams will probably bounce back. Hunter Renfrow is an interesting one considering it looked like, and Carr was really force feeding Devontae Adams. And I think that's all what led to a lot of the picks that he threw. So I don't know if Adams being there is just going to hurt. He's that volume that he was getting. It's definitely possible. And then I can't remember the other guy that you mentioned, but
Mike Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Zeke. I was just saying in general,
yeah, I don't know that I would reach out
trade for those guys.
I don't know that I'd reach out for a Cowboy right now.
I don't know. Get CeeDee Lamb incredibly cheap, and hopefully you're still in it 8 weeks from now.
Yeah.
You have a good wide receiver on your hands.
I think it's so early though that I don't know that any of these teams would want to give him up just yet either.
Yeah, it's a tough world, that Cowboys world, to say the least. For someone like me who's got Darrell Henderson, it's like, should I go trade for Cam Akers? I don't know if there's anything I want to give up for him, but I can just have them both and ride the hot hand every week. I don't know. Just something to think about. So what's going on in week 2? Let me just tell you the matchups coming up here. Top team in the league right now, Notorious CUP, because he's 1-0 and has the most points scored. He'll take on, guess who? Me. Boy, it's going to be fun. Lion Rip, who sits in second place. He will take on Eaton W's. Of course, we mentioned it. The Hot Tamales taking on the Butterfingers. Cooper's Cousins will take on... Cooper's Cousins will look to go 2-0 against 0-1 Belt Sander. So Allen trying to get back to 1-1. And also in week 2, 2 teams will fall behind in the standings 0-2 as 0-1 Bishop Sycamore taking on 0-1 Kilgore Trout. And 0-1 Gonzo Cats will take on the NWA, who's 0-1. So 2 teams will fall behind 0-2 after week 2. Whew. Not impossible to come back from by any stretch, but 0-2 just doesn't sound like it tastes very good. So there you have it. Week 1 in the books. NFL underway. Let's go. Week 2. Guys, thanks for coming on. Good luck to you in week 2. And we'll see all you owners next week on the MHA podcast.